Sorry to cancel World Cup enrollment. Austrian Football Federation is gone. That is how a telegram sent to FIFA in late March 1938 is preserved in a modern historical account. It contained no explanation of tactics, no list of injured players, and no request to postpone a match. It did not say that Austria had failed to qualify. Austria had already qualified. The message said something much more final. The federation itself was gone. Only a few months earlier, the Austrian national team had been preparing for the World Cup in France. On the 5th of October 1937, Austria defeated Latvia 2-1 in Vienna and secured its place in the tournament. For the players, qualification was not an unexpected miracle. Austrian football had spent much of the decade among the strongest in Europe. The celebrated wonder team of the early 1930s had gone 16 matches unbeaten. Austria had finished 4th at the 1934 World Cup, and its football culture was known for technical skill, short passing, and the influence of players such as Matthias Sindelar. The 1938 tournament offered another chance to return to the world stage. The place had been earned. The fixture would be arranged. The journey to France could be planned. Then, in March 1938, the country the team represented ceased to exist as an independent state. Between the 11th and 13th of March, Nazi Germany annexed Austria in the event known as the Anschluss. German forces entered the country. The Austrian government was replaced, and Austrian institutions were rapidly brought under Nazi control. Football was not separate from that process. The Austrian Football Association had been founded in 1904 and had joined FIFA the following year. For more than 3 decades, it had selected national teams, organized competitions, recorded results, and represented Austria in international football. After the Anschluss, it could no longer perform that role as an independent national association. That was the meaning behind the telegram. Sorry to cancel World Cup enrollment. Austrian Football Federation is gone. The message was reportedly sent around 10 weeks before the World Cup was due to begin. Its sender was not a team captain standing on a pitch. It was not a player announcing retirement or a coach admitting defeat. It came from an institution that was informing the governing body of world football that it no longer existed in the form FIFA recognized. The receiver was FIFA. By then, the World Cup draw had already given Austria a first-round match against Sweden. The game was scheduled for the 5th of June in Lyon. On paper, the fixture still existed. Austria versus Sweden. A place in the quarterfinals was waiting for the winner. But after the telegram arrived, there was no independent Austrian federation to organize the squad, no Austrian national authority to send it, and no recognized team that could arrive in France under the name Austria. This was not an ordinary withdrawal. Teams had withdrawn from World Cups before. Travel costs, disputes, and qualification problems had all kept countries away from early tournaments. Austria's absence was different. The players had qualified. The match had been scheduled. The team did not disappear because it lost. It disappeared because the political map changed between qualification and kickoff. FIFA did not fill the place with another team. The tournament went forward with 15 participants instead of 16. The scheduled match between Austria and Sweden was never played. Sweden advanced without taking the field. A blank space in the bracket became the sporting consequence of the telegram. But the human consequences were far larger than an empty fixture. Under Nazi rule, Austrian society was transformed. Jewish Austrians were persecuted immediately, and institutions across the country were brought into the structures of the German state. Football clubs, officials, and players were affected by the same system. Some Austrian players were selected for the German national team. UEFA's account of the 1938 tournament records that 4 former Austrian internationals appeared in Germany's opening match against Switzerland. Matthias Sindelar, the most famous Austrian player of his generation, was not among them. The combined German squad did not become the powerful team its organizers may have expected. Germany drew 1-1 with Switzerland, then lost the replay 4-2 and was eliminated in the first round. Austria's missing place remained empty. There was no separate Austrian score, no Austrian lineup, no national anthem before a World Cup match, no final whistle for a team wearing Austrian colors, only the record of a match that should have taken place. The silence is easiest to see in the tournament schedule. On the 5th of June, other first-round matches were played across France. Teams arrived in stadiums, names were printed, goals were scored, and results entered the official record. Beside Austria and Sweden, there was no score. The match was marked as not played. Sweden moved directly into the quarterfinals, where it defeated Cuba and later reached the semifinals. Austria's World Cup ended without beginning. The telegram had done what no opponent managed to do during qualification. It removed the team from the tournament. And yet, the message did not erase the evidence that Austria had been there. The qualifying record still shows the victory over Latvia in Vienna. The tournament record still shows the abandoned fixture against Sweden. FIFA's history still identifies Sweden's first-round match as a forfeit. UEFA's account still records the Austrian withdrawal and the former Austrian players who appeared for Germany. The paper trail survived, even when the team did not. The telegram itself presents a more difficult kind of archive. Unlike a famous letter displayed behind museum glass, its original form is not widely reproduced in public collections. What survives most clearly is the wording quoted by football historian Jonathan Wilson in a later account of the 1938 World Cup. That distinction matters. The exact message should not be treated as an anonymous internet legend or repeated without a source. Its wording reaches us through historical writing, while the surrounding event is confirmed by tournament records, qualification results, and official football histories. Together, those sources preserve the moment. A national team earned its place at the World Cup in October 1937. 5 months later, the state it represented was annexed. Then FIFA received a telegram saying the federation was gone. When the World Cup began in France, Austria existed only in the paperwork left behind. There's another reason the silence feels larger in retrospect. The 1938 tournament was the final World Cup before the Second World War. The competition would not be held again until 1950. Many of the countries and players who gathered in France were standing at the edge of events far beyond football. Borders would move, governments would fall, careers would be interrupted, and lives would be changed or destroyed. In that setting, Austria's missing match was not simply an unusual fact from an old tournament. It was an early sign that the world outside the stadium could enter the competition and remove a team before the first whistle. The telegram was brief because it did not need to describe everything that had happened. FIFA did not require a lesson in European politics. It needed to know whether Austria would appear. The answer was no. Not because the players had been beaten. Not because the federation had changed its mind. Not because the team was unprepared. The institution that had entered the competition no longer existed independently. A place remained in the bracket. A match remained on the schedule. But the country that had earned that place could no longer send its team. Sorry to cancel World Cup enrollment. The apology concerned a football tournament. The final sentence concerned something much larger. Austrian Football Federation is gone. And when the World Cup began, no Austrian message followed.